Welcome to my house. This is Santa Barbara, California. Let me show you inside. As you can see, there's a lot of different instruments here. Some of them are not represented in the current album, and others are. Here's the Persian ney, and this is like pretty significantly represented in the album. It's a interdental flute, so it goes in between your teeth. And the only other interdental flute is used in Mongolian throat singing music, actually. This is a Afghan tambour, it's a Afghan rabab, an Indian Punjab rabab, and this is the Indian sarod, none of which are actually presented in my album, but instruments that I love. This is a frame drum that is pretty heavily used in Kurdish and Persian music. This is represented along with the Persian tombak, pretty significantly actually in the album. So this is a jumbush saz. Basically it's similar to a Persian tar. It's 6 strings, I tune it CGC 151. And it's basically a banjo kind of sound. I really like it, and it's represented in a couple of the songs in the album. So this is the Turkish rebab. Supposedly one of the oldest bowed instruments that we know of, and it's horsehair. It's like tied up horsehair as the actual string that you play with. And this is a coconut shell, and this is animal skin. And the bow is also made of wood and horsehair. So it's probably you could tell, probably one of the older bowed instrument that we know of, and it's featured in some of the songs on the album. Actually, one of the opening songs features this instrument, and I really love it. So this is the Persian setar. It's probably the most popular traditional Persian instrument. Probably one of the older, maybe the oldest long neck lute. This is represented in a couple of the songs in the album. I play Indian setar mainly, but I also play Persian setar. So this is a clarinet. And you might think, what is the clarinet doing in a kind of a Persian fusion world music album? But the clarinet was and is still used in particular styles of Persian classical music or Persian pop music, pop classical. In the 50s and 60s, became heavily popularized, and so I've represented it in a couple of the songs that would have originally in the 50s or 60s actually had clarinet on it, and I personally really like the sound. This is the Persian rabab, which is definitely interesting. It's made of walnut wood. Rabab is traditionally an Afghan instrument, but this is the Persian version, which basically it just has a longer neck and it has these little microtonal frets, so it's not much different. It has sympathetic strings just like the Afghan rabab, and it's used in a couple of the songs in the album. This is the oud. It's a 11-string fretless plucked instrument. Some say that it is one of the oldest plucked instruments that we know of. It's supposedly the ancestor of the guitar. Most musicologists and ethnomusicologists agree. And this is a little bit of a modern version. It's a half cut. It's got gear tuners and all that. This is the Persian tar, which means string. Tar means string. Guitar, sitar. And it's made out of, I believe this one is mulberry. And basically, it's a animal skin, 6-string, kind of banjo-like instrument. It's like a Persian banjo. And you can't really have a Persian music album without the tar if you're trying to get that Persian sound, so to speak. This is the Persian kamanche. It's the most featured bowed instrument on the album, and very beautiful. I really like it a lot. It's kind of got this beautiful bowl-shaped back resonator, some animal skin. It's got 4 strings and this beautiful temple top here. Greek, Pontic, Kemenche. It's actually not represented in the album. And this is a Dilruba. Dilruba is the Indian bowed instrument. And it's featured slightly, just a little bit in the album. I had to be careful of using Indian sounding instruments because they're very different than Persian sounding instruments, but I just snuck a little bit in it. My last album, Liquid Lotus, features the Dilruba, and it also features the sitar. This is the Indian sitar. This is one that I've kind of designed, and it's got the gear tuners and all these things. It's only featured very slightly, just I think on 1 or 2 songs, just kind of in the background, because like I said, Indian sound and aesthetic timbre is so much different than Persian music, so I want to be respectful to both traditions. This is an erhu. This is a Chinese erhu. The saz, balama. This is a bullback oud. This is an ezraj, and here we have a tampura. So this is a shakuhachi from Japan. Not featured in the album. This is a duduk from Armenia. This is a ditsa, also a Chinese flute. And these are zornas, Turkish. These ones. This is a shanai from India. This is also a shanai from India. And this is another duduk. So these are what you call double reed oboe-like instruments. So exciting stuff. Let's head on out. This album is called Reeshe, which means roots, and it basically features traditional instruments of the Orient, mainly Persian instruments, and some that I've designed, and bring them in a modern context with beats, with bass, with particular kinds of pads that make sense, that are relatable. So the goal is to make something that is quite unfamiliar, kind of familiar. And Mah means moon, and Tar is string. So Mah Ze Tar, it means string of the moon. My given name is Mah Ze Tar, which means the friend of the moon. So I put a T, and it became the strings of the moon. This is the Mah Ze Tar that I've also named. It's a triple-necked instrument. You have the sarod of India, which is kind of like the Indian slide guitar. You have the oud, that's globally recognized and kind of the ancestor of the guitar. And then you have the saz, which is used in Persian, Turkish music, or like a sitar. It's a long neck lute. And the goal of this instrument is to show the thread of humanity, that we are more connected than we are separate. So here's 3 individual necks with their own identities and their own cultures coming together on a single body. And these are the moons, the moon energy, right? Mah, which is a soft, gentle, kind, full of emotion. So, welcome to my project. This is the featured instrument. Majnoon is the title track, and the album will be coming out shortly. I hope that you enjoy.